Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Samantha and I am an intuitive tarot reader. I am a medium. I am a vessel for God. I'm a child of God, and I'm doing this video to educate and to bring awareness to what divination and tarot and all of these new age, as people like to call it, things are, even though they are not new at all, and they really are just a tool. I just want to start off by saying that I completely understand why, people who grew up in, Christian households, or people who just don't understand what tarot and divination and communicating with your intuition and with spirits and deities. Like, there's so many things that are being talked about now in regards to spirituality and in regards to different tools that people use and different manifestation tactics and intention work and candle work and all these things that people are interested in now and becoming more interested in. Why people would be confused about that, and why people would, question if it's wrong or not. Like, I completely understand, because I think that most of us can say, even those of us who are, practicing mediums or practicing readers or healers, we can attest that we've definitely all probably struggled with this ability to accept our own gifts and accept our path that we're being called to, because of these misconceptions that people actually have about what we do and about who we are. And so that's what I'm here to talk about. I really want to talk about, I wrote a bunch of stuff down just to kind of try and stay somewhat, focused, because ADHD. But so I really just want to have a friendly discussion. Like, this is not a way for me to bash anybody for disagreeing, because I don't necessarily want people to agree with me. I just want people to understand, who don't understand, one, what they're getting themselves into when they choose to start dabbling in tarot and in divination and in communicating with their guides and the other side, and what it actually is for. And also, I want to talk to people who are consider themselves religious, or people who consider themselves, Christians, and who think that tarot, and who think that, spiritual gifts per se and being used in certain ways aren't of God, and that you can't have God be a part of a reading or be a part of a healing, like that God is not a part of that, and that people who do these who use divination, or people who communicate with the other side, or people who communicate with their intuition or with spirit, are not connected to God, because that's also not true. First, I'm going to start with what is divination. So these are also things that I've personally channeled. So this is not, I did not go to any source for this information. I'm just purely pulling from my own intuition and from what I've been told by God, and my discussions with God, and my discussions with my guides and angels. And I just, so I'm going to start with what I picked up and wrote down and channeled about what divination is. So what I wrote here was, so tarot and divination is simply a tool, and I compared it to mathematics, kind of like you need math to as a tool to figure out a problem or figure out a solution or a formula, right? Anything that is a physical object to help someone figure something deeper out. So divination or tarot, for me personally, tarot is a divination tool that I felt guided to. And I felt guided to tarot because, just me being the type of person that I am, I'm somebody who needs facts. I'm somebody who needs validation on messages that I receive, or on my own intuition, what my own intuition is receiving from the light. So let's say I'm doing a reading and I'm channeling, like I don't need the cards, right? I just tune in and I'm sailing. I know exactly what I need to say. I'm being called to say certain things or feel certain things for my client to convey what they need to hear, right? So the cards, as I'm pulling, it's validating me as I go along. And it's my intuition that's picking the cards. It's not anything else that's picking the cards. We, as spiritual practitioners, don't believe in coincidence. So if a card flies out and it applies, it's not a coincidence, you know? And also, when it comes to using tarot, we can have any card fly out and we can feel in a reading like this, I don't feel like this is your card. Like everything is intuition based. Like I am an intuitive reader. So I'm using my internal gifts, and these physical objects are validating or helping me tune into my intuition deeper so that I'm able to kind of like give the right messages or be able to channel the right messages correctly, or know that that message is for them. So like any card could come out and I'll look at the cards and they will have different meanings for every client. For the cards will have a different meaning every time for my clients, because I'm looking at the cards, I'm seeing what sticks out to me. It's also helping me to tune again deeper into my intuition and what my intuition is telling me about what this person needs to know. Anything can be used as divination. There are people who simply draw, scribble, use tarot, tea leaves, nothing at all. It's because these physical things assist us in communicating with the parts of ourselves that are not physical. So divination is a physical tool that helps us to understand the unphysical, the things that are unseen. Just because someone is into divination does not mean they are not connected to God. And I feel like that is such a common misconception, because the Bible says God hates seers and fortune tellers and not to seek their help. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of readers and spiritualists, energy workers that are not connected to God and have different intentions than God would for their gifts. Absolutely. But the gifts themselves and the people who use them for healing and love are out here changing people's lives, healing people's relationships with themselves, others, and healing people's relationships with God. And it's not the cards doing it, it's the person who's using the cards as a tool to validate what they are already picking up on, or angels are communicating to them about someone they are working with. So playing into what I just talked about, that, you know, it's not these physical objects that people think are so, they hold so much power, or they summon spirits, they summon entities and stuff like that. Like that is simply not true. It's all about the person who's dealing the cards. And, you know, that can be different for everybody. Now I want to talk about people who think that this stuff is evil, or that this summons evil spirits. Yeah, so it's just, at this point in my journey, I find it, I don't want to say I find it funny, because at one point I was never scared, because I knew I was on the right journey, and I knew God called me to this journey because I talked to God about it when I first was called to it, and when my gifts started really coming to the surface. But, you know, people do have experiences with negative entities, and people do have experiences with, you know, getting involved in divination or in tarot or with crystals, or just using supernatural things and, you know, having a negative experience. And so I can understand why somebody would just automatically ban it, you know, and just be traumatized from it. That makes sense to me, of course. But these experiences are not because of you dabbling in something, or because these people dabbled in something. It's because it's like, one, they might not have known exactly what they were doing. They might have just been going into it with weird intentions, or been in a weird place in their life that like a negative place in their life, and this just kind of showed them that. Like, tarot is a reflection. Tarot is not, they're not, like through tarot, it's not giving people answers. It's not telling people's futures. No, I don't care who people say they are. Like, I've gotten to a point where when I'm doing readings for people, people will ask me about their futures or what I foresee for them. And it's like, I have to constantly reiterate that, you know, the future can change. There are things that are set. There are people we're meant to meet. There are people that, or there are situations that we're meant to experience. And then there are things that are based on free will, or things that are, you know, out of our control, or things that we're not meant to foresee. You understand? So, like, when you go to a reader and you're asking for like, what does my future hold? Like, you're gonna get kind of like things that might not even happen. And that's what I also want people to understand, is that like fortune tellers and stuff like that, like, yes, there are destined things that are meant to occur in your life. And a lot of times when people will tell you about your future, it's like, it's very positive messages. And I think that those can be very beneficial for a certain type of client when they need something to look forward to. And, you know, these things are not fake. Like, the reader is seeing these things for them as a potential future for them. But it doesn't mean that that's the path that these people are going to take. I want to also address that as well when it comes to like fortune tellers. I've really, in my practice, steered away from, you know, being called a fortune teller, because that's not what I do. I want to focus on the present, helping you to make your present the best it possibly can be, so that your future is the best that it can possibly be, because the future is not real yet. It's not. So there are different timelines in things that can happen, different paths that you could take, or different detours to get to a certain destinations along your path. So back to people who fear that, like, divination and tarot, and are scared to get involved in tarot and the supernatural, like with readings and healings and the things that are unseen. People are so scared of evil or darkness, when if you know yourself, you know your intentions, you know you are protected. These things cannot infiltrate you. If you are strong within yourself, and you are strong in your connection to God and the Creator, and you're not like, oh, this is fun, like, you're going into it like, no, this is going to serve a higher purpose to me, I feel actually called to this, then you need to go into it knowing you're protected, knowing that, you know, you have authority over all evil, over all negative energies. Like, you have authority, I have authority, we have the power here, we have all the control when it comes to that. Like, if we have something infiltrating our space that that makes us feel uncomfortable, we can say, you are not welcome here, go to the light, or you must leave. And they must. And that's just us understanding that we ultimately have that much power, and it's in us, it's not in tools. Also, I wrote down, sometimes, like, when it comes to like people who have experienced like these type of experiences where they've witnessed like negative energies and you know, like negative supernatural occurrences, sometimes it takes experiencing evil or darkness to, again, know the difference between that and light, or to redirect you to be more conscious of your power over darkness, and not over darkness outside of you, but darkness within you. Because everything that manifests in your life and my life is a reflection of us, and of what needs attention, and of what we're being called to. So having those type of experiences, it's an opportunity, because spirit, they are alchemists, they are transformers, God is someone who, I don't even want to say someone, but he is. And I use he and God based on my own like reference, because that's just, I grew up in Christianity, and you know, I just always refer to God as God, and it just still feels comfortable to me to call God God. So that's why I call God God, even though I'm not religious. I also just say he because that's comfortable to me. Don't necessarily know. I think God is everything and everyone, but you know, just to get that clear, that's my frame of reference. It's not meant to declare anything for me. I'm a child of God, and that's it. God and spirit, they're alchemists. So any negative experience that we have, or any bad decisions that we make in our life, God uses those times and those experiences as a way for us to transform our life, or transform ourselves, or the part of ourselves that was exposed during these negative experiences. And it's crazy, I'm like losing my voice as I'm talking about this. Yeah, so I wrote down here, God and spirit are alchemists. We are created to also be alchemists, meaning darkness is a balancer, and anything that happens to us that seems unfair, or it's heavy, or it victimizes us, God will transform the situation or experience into being something that actually propelled us toward a better version of ourselves. But there are also people who will be, you know, fearful after an experience, and a negative experience, and, you know, they'll kind of pull away from anything and feel too fearful, and then spread that to other people, saying, oh no, this happened to me, don't mess with that, like this happened to me, you know, it's evil, it brings about evil spirits because of their negative experience, when their negative experience was a reflection of their own darkness. So and that's why you know, I saw a post the other day of somebody talking about, you know, people who say they're ex-mediums or ex-psychics and stuff like that, and they had negative experiences when really it was just a reflection of their negative intent in doing the work that they were doing, or their negative their shadow selves, or they saw something they didn't like, they experienced something they didn't like, some sort of darkness, when really that's something that's within them. So it's a reflection. Everything is a reflection. Everything that happens in our lives is a reflection, and meant to propel us to our best selves. But we can choose to allow it to dictate how we move forward. We can choose to let it dictate our views and dictate, you know, our path, and remove us from the path we're on. We can do that. We can, and you know, when you remove yourself from your gifts, when you remove yourself from a calling because of a negative experience, you're removing yourself and disconnecting yourself from God as well, because there's a calling, and it's your gifts, it's who you are. So not allowing yourself to dive into these parts of yourselves that are fearful of darkness, that are fearful of evil, and, you know, that don't embrace this part of yourself with love, but with fear. You know, that's you disconnect yourself from source in doing so, in disconnecting yourself from any part of yourself. I also wanted to talk about, just diving in more about like the people who are scared that, you know, tarot and spirituality and new age. I really don't like the term new age, because again, it's not new. These are things that are coming back, that are being reborn, that people are actually being accepted in accepting themselves and their gifts and their intuition, and finally people tuning in. And it might seem like there are so many people that are now spiritually gifted, and it's because we all are. But the thing is, there are people who are, you know, not genuine, and there are people who are still working out of a shadow place, and trying to use their gifts at the same time. That like it's creating, there's a lot of scamming going on within our community, and there's a lot of just misinformation. And so this also, I want to also make clear, is really necessary for, you know, people to start seeing their gifts, and for there to be a moment of, you know, people using them for not the best things. I'm seeing it from a higher perspective, that like people are coming into their gifts, people are accepting their own spirituality, and their own unique connection to source. And that's beautiful. And there's going to be bad that comes with that. But there's going to also be a time when that bad is, you know, worked through, and people are called out for that, and people are, you know, put in their place for that by God. And, you know, that's not going to be the norm. We're going to come out of that, but it's just too new for a lot of people, that it's like, or people who aren't even really in tune or acting like they're in tune for whatever reason, because they just want to, they're interested, or they want to seem mysterious or cool or make money. You know, there are so many reasons that people scam. But so use your discernment. I know I've been very discerning. I don't receive readings anymore because of this wave that we're in. And I've been fully trusting my own intuition. And yeah, it's just your discernment is really important right now, especially with a lot of readers. And it's like, I am one, and I'm saying that. So like, I'm not here to say that there's not people out here saying they're gifted, and also who are gifted but are using their gifts for different things. Like, let's talk about spells real quick. So for me, I don't do like love spells. Like, I had a call recently, somebody asking me if I do love spells. She wants to bring somebody back into her life, which is fine. But like, I'm not going to use my power to bring somebody back into your life that, you know, if that's not what's supposed to happen. You know what I mean? So like, I'm all for self-love spells. Like, let me make you attractive for what's actually meant for you. Or make you feel more attractive, or make your energy higher so that you can attract what's for you, instead of bringing a certain person back. I just, honestly, I just don't agree with it, because it's like, if they're meant to come back, they will. You know what I mean? So when it comes to like love spells and like hexes and stuff like that, it's just not, people make money off this stuff. And I'm not saying that they don't work. I'm saying that, why? Like, we have to look at the why, and why, you know, people feel so worthless that they feel like they have to have somebody, you know, have to have a spell to bring somebody back into their life or to love them. And that's where I draw the line. Same with hexes. Like, why do you feel like you have to take karma into your own hands when it's going to happen regardless? And, you know, that's not our job. Our job is not to send out negative energy. It's just not, or it's going to come back in some way. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick too, because I do have, you know, views that align with people who don't agree with any of it. But like, I'm trying to help people to understand that, you know, you can't throw everything out on something because of some bad apples, or people who are using their gifts for not so good things, or for things that are actually detrimental to people, you know? So, but again, it's like, it's a reflection of where these people are in their journeys. They don't feel worthy, so they help people, you know, who also don't feel worthy, bring people into their life that, you know, aren't meant to be there or don't want to be there, and stuff like that. So they create soul ties that aren't really meant to be there. So diving back into, you know, darkness and how divination helps with us diving deeper into ourselves and into our shadow selves. We are meant to explore our shadows and the shadows that exist here on earth. Without doing so, we can't bring awareness to it. If we completely didn't dive into darkness, or weren't curious about darkness, or just what humans have created here on earth, we would have no way of changing it. So that's why it's important to actually embrace darkness, not to become it, but to embrace it, and to, you know, be curious about it, and to have our own understanding and embracing the darkness within ourselves. Because if not, we can't change it. There's a difference between exploring the shadows and living in the shadows. Our true form is light. Our souls are of light. God is of light. If we cut off our light source or our connection to God or source, that is when we can astray. But at the end of the day, sometimes we have to experience being cut off from God to truly appreciate our relationship with God and with light. Experiencing enough darkness will definitely make someone appreciate God when they finally find their way back to their true power source. We can come here with our souls originating from light or God to bring awareness to the dark or shadows of humans and life here. We come here for that. That's what I meant. Divination is a tool to help see below the surface. So that's truly what, these tools and what our gifts are for, is for discernment. It's for us to look below what we can see, because that's where the truth lies. When everything you see is chaos, when everything you see is fake, what do you have to go off of what the truth truly is? You have to look for it. You have to be it. You have to know what that is. And to actually do that, you have to be in touch with who you truly are. And to do that, you have to know God. And you have to embrace your light and your shadow. God wants us to embrace and explore both sides of ourselves, our dark parts and our light parts. He wants us to have them balanced and to use them both for the greater good. That's what we're here to do. So using tools like tarot, astrology, psychological map of us. It's a tool. It's something to help us get more understanding on ourselves and on our planet and on others. Because without that, there's nothing to go off of. Because yes, God is everything. God is who we need to have faith in and who our source needs to be. That is facts. But he wants us to also be here and explore ourselves and explore this world and use our creativity to ascend others and to ascend our society and ascend our earth. That's what he wants us to do. So we need to have tools here as well that God can work through, just like medicine, just like so many different things, food, physical things that are needed to survive, and physical things that are needed to, direct us. And some people might not feel called to certain things, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's just, I really want people to get to a point where we're not having disdain towards certain people for their beliefs or for what they feel called to along their journey, or for if somebody has a negative experience, then you have to bash everybody who does it, when really it was just a reflection of you that you manifested. So I wanted to bring up, when it comes to preachers and prophets, prophets are said to have visions, are said to predict things. And it's when people who are like myself, who also do have the same gift, but spit on basically because we don't identify as a part of the church, it just doesn't make sense to me when a lot of preachers and a lot of prophets are indeed, the scammers that I'm talking about. I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying a good portion. Preachers and prophets who are all having visions of the future supposedly from God as well. We, as mediums, intuitives, psychics, who are also, connected to source, we are receiving the same messages, but are called something different because we are not in a church. We are our church, and our relationship with God is within us, as it should with everybody. Even if you do want to go to church and be a part of a church, your relationship with God should be who you are. It should be every second of every day. It shouldn't just be on Sundays, And it's we need to be our church and our home. And a lot of us still use the Bible for reference at times, like I do. I still go to the Bible. I'm not against the Bible. But the Bible is also meant to be a tool and a guide. There are so many things in the Bible that we would not practice today. There are so many circumstances in the Bible that are illegal today. You understand? So it's like to think that the Bible is, you know, it's like, oh, it says this right here, do not seek seers or fortune tellers, and it's like that's it. Like, no. Like I know it seems that we've been taught that God is very straightforward and is very like, nope, you like, there's no gray area, there's no compassion, there's no love. Like in the court of law, they have to go off laws in order to prosecute somebody. Like, it's not based on compassion, it's not based on any of that. God is based on compassion and love and forgiveness. We need to remember that. So anybody judging anybody, or anybody saying like, you know, that certain people are of the devil or whatever, like, that's not very godly of you. Not to use the Bible's not meant to be used to tell others what to do and what not to do. Everybody's journey with God is different. God needs people that acknowledge him in all places, in all religions, in all practices. There will be people that acknowledge the great creator and still use different tools or methods that are out of the norm. God has many faces and has a hand in everything we allow God to. We are God. We are God's children. We have his DNA. We are his children. All of us, even unacknowledged or acknowledged, we are all God's children. We all have a cord directly connected to God. How we use our gifts is up to us. We are given freedom. We are given, you know, somewhat like free will. And at the same time, it's like we have choices we can make, but like it depends on how in touch we are with God and with ourselves to know what choices are best for us. Like, I can say at certain points in my life, I made really terrible choices because of me not having the best relationship with myself and not healing myself to a certain extent, and or not having the best relationship with God, not having full faith in God. And those times were learning lessons, again, alchemizing. Like, God alchemized those times for me. He pulled me out, and he gave me chance after chance after chance to get it right. And eventually I did, because I was faithful, because I was diligent. And I knew that if I followed my calling, it would lead me to a beautiful life here, and also to helping God to my fullest extent. So at different points, we feel guided by God. We feel a pull for certain things. And, you know, if we don't acknowledge God, then yeah, we can make choices that don't align with what God would want for us. That doesn't mean he stops loving us. It means he waits for us to acknowledge him again, and to acknowledge that we have power, that we have God's power within us. So divination and tarot and all these things are so minuscule. Like, they're tools. They are not the power. We have the power. And so I just really wanted to make a video. I felt really called to make a video like this, so that hopefully whoever watches this and needed these messages can feel more comfortable getting their own tarot deck if they feel called to, or being more compassionate toward people who have spiritual gifts and are using them and healing others in a very positive way, you know, instead of listening to what people have told you about people like me. So yeah, I really hope that this helped somebody, and that this brought light to this community of spirituality and of astrology, and of trying to understand on a deeper level who we are, so that we can be the best possible people we can be, and we can all benefit from these practices. It's not, nobody's worshiping. I mean, some people might, but I'm not worshiping. I'm not worshiping these things. They are tools. They are a guide for us. Just like going on Google and looking at different sources for different information, or a textbook. It's the same exact thing, but more personal. And that's what my point in this video is. So I'm really blessed to connect with all of you who watch this video today. I really would love some comments and let me know your feedback or what you think, and your experiences as well. And I send you all so much love and light. I will leave my info for personal readings, coaching, and healings in my description box down below, as well as my Instagram, my TikTok, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.